Kennedy Corley, and I am a graduate of Lee Central High School as the valedictorian for the class of 2017. I would first like to thank the board members and the superintendent, Dr. Wanda Andrews, and also Dr. Donald, Director of Instruction. I was also a participant of the early college program, graduating with 51 credit hours and able to start at the University of South Carolina in Columbia as a sophomore. I have now moved up to junior standing and am able to take my major classes. Because of the early college program, I gained an insight on how to study effectively, how to manage college classes along with life, and how to become an AB student. I am so thankful for the opportunity of taking college classes while I was in high school, because I would not be in the position that I am today. Having the opportunity to take classes at Central Carolina, it really gave me an insight on how the college rigor would be. At the University of South Carolina, it is much different and a little harder. I really had to learn how to study more, how to study effectively, but having the basic training that I got at Central Carolina really helped me a lot, and I don't know how I would be able to handle the classes if I had not taken those classes. I would first like to say, if you are in the early college program right now, please don't take it as a joke, because once you get to college, wherever you decide to go, you will appreciate taking those classes along with your high school classes so much more, because you will have a jump on the people who you are in class with. If you are not in the early college program, I still urge you to at least try college. Having a degree in anything will get you so much further than just a high school diploma. My major is GSCOM, which is Global Supply Chain and Operations Management, which is also called Management Science. I am starting a minor in Information Technology, and what I really want to do is work in a Fortune 500 company, managing the logistics of how products and services are going from one place to another, how that can be more effectively done, and just improving the overall standard of the company. With anything, you have to believe in yourself at least up to a certain point, because if you don't, then you'll feel like, oh, if I can't pass this test or if I can't get through this class, then there's no need for me to stay here. You really want to have a good sense of yourself. When you go to college, you meet so many different people from various backgrounds, and if you don't know who you are, if you aren't comfortable in who you are, then you'll kind of lose yourself. So having that confidence and having that, I know who I am and I know where I came from and I know that I can do this, then that really gives you an edge when you're trying to get through college or get through life in general. Well, USC mainly focuses on your test scores, your ACT and SAT scores. Now, every university or college looks at your grades. So if you have lower test scores and a high GPA, then you have a better chance of getting into that university. As for me, according to state standards or national standards, my test scores weren't on the very high side, but because I had a 4.7 GPA, because I had a good record, good disciplinary record in high school, and because of my college essays, I, gained a spot in the University of South Carolina. Well, honestly, when I first stepped onto the campus, the very first thing that hit me was there are not a lot of people that look like me. And although there is a fact that USC only accepts about 12 to 13% of African Americans, I felt that was something that I needed to do, the University of South Carolina was somewhere that I needed to be, because coming from a predominantly black school, the world is not all black. The world is not all white. We are all of different races, different colors, different creeds, different backgrounds. So being that USC is a melting pot, I felt that I would get a better um, outlook on how the world is and how well I can work within the world if I knew people from different backgrounds. Um, the class size was definitely a shock. In some of my classes, there are over 200 people. And what I always tell people is if you want to succeed, if you want to not have to worry about how many people there are in the class or who you're up against, sit in the front, learn who your instructors are, get to know them, let them get to know you. And even though it might not help your grade physically, because they know you and they know what kind of work ethic you have, they'll help you. They really will. And I think that was the biggest thing for me. Just, I'll be honest, when I was in high school, I didn't have to study much because the material always seemed to come so effortlessly to me. But once I got to USC, I realized, okay, I need to figure out how I best study, how I can study effectively, because the first round of test scores that I received were not what I wanted them to be. And looking at the people who sat next to me or the people who sat in front of me, they were still getting A's, they were still getting B's, and I'm sitting next to them, trying to figure out what I can do to improve my grade and to improve how I studied. So there were nights that I stayed up rewriting my notes or just rereading so many times over what the PowerPoints that the teachers provided for us, what the book said, going into looking at different websites and trying to figure out how one thing matches with another, trying to find comparisons between different things so I could understand it better. And that was hard for me because I never really had to study before. People tell you that you have to find a happy medium between school life and social life, and that is true, but you have to find out what best works for you. I attended just about every home football game. I've been to a couple basketball games. I have been to a couple parties, but before I go out or before I make the decision that I'm going to go enjoy some time with my friends, I try to get all of my work done for that weekend or for that week already completed so that I don't have to worry about it once I get home, sometimes 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, sometimes later. You really have to prioritize, and you really have to find a time management schedule as well, because if you don't keep up with your work assignments, if you don't keep up with when you have tests going on, then everything starts to pile up, and then you really start to stress over something that could have been avoided. Well, I am a Dollarmore School of Business student, and our first year we have freshman requirements. So even though I walked in as a sophomore and I'm now a junior, I still have a year to finish our freshman requirements, which include accounting 225, economics 221, microeconomics or macroeconomics, business statistics, management science, professional communication, and business calculus. So once you finish those 6 or 7 classes along with your English 101 and your English 102, you have to have a 3.0 GPA in order to stay in the School of Business. Early college program saved my family maybe $20,000 to $40,000 because I walked in as a sophomore, and since they moved me up to a junior, our tuition is about $24,000 to $25,000 a year. So my aunt basically saved $50,000 by me participating in the early college program. And I matriculated through the school district here. I do feel an obligation to come back and try to help those who are still here. If anyone who I recently went to school with has questions about how college life is or how the early college program might work out for them when they decide to go to college, I am so happy to answer their questions, because if they feel like they can have a life after Bishopville, which so many people say that there isn't, I'm so happy to help them in any way that I can, whether that's advice or talking to someone at my own university, or just talking to their teachers, talking to their parents, telling them how great a program this is, how great an opportunity it is that you can go to college, that you can make something out of yourself. I want to personally thank Dr. Donald. I want to personally thank Dr. Wanda Andrews for bringing this program into Lee County and starting the students here on this program, because without it, I would not be a junior in college in my second semester of at the University of South Carolina. My family would not have saved as much money as they are at the moment, and I don't think that I would have as much confidence in going to college as I do now. Although I lost my mother at 10 days old, and although I lost my grandmother when I was 10 years old and had to move to an entirely different city, I believe that having the basis of strong family connection and learning what I did here at Lee Central High School, I mean, the sky is the limit, and for most people, for all of us, the sky is not the limit. You can do so much more than people say that you can. You can do as much as you want to if you just believe that you can, but you have to remember that no one is going to be out there wanting to hold your hand or have a hand extended to you. You have to want to succeed. You have to want to make something of yourself. You have to want to stay up some nights till 2 and 3 in the morning just so you can understand what is asked of you. It is hard. It is very hard if you don't have a sense of yourself, if you feel that you won't succeed, because once you speak it, it's already out there in the universe. So you have to believe that you are here to do something, you have a purpose, and that nothing can stop you. Because once you have that mindset, there is nothing that you cannot accomplish.